y'all, welcome to my channel. I'm your host, the Southwest Witch, and today we are going to be talking about a pretty crazy historical account of demonic possession known as the Yatton Daemoniac. So let's get into it. Alright, so we've got our face all nice and primed and prepped and ready, so let's get right into the story. So, it all starts on Saturday, May 31st, 1778, in the village of Yatton, England, when a traveling woman by the name of Mrs. Sarah Barber summoned one Reverend Joseph Easterbrook. Sarah claimed that she had come across a man by the name of George Lukins, who was the local tailor at the time in that area, who seemed to have been struck by some kind of strange malady. According to her, he sang and screamed in various voices and sounds, some of which did not seem human. Kind of sounds like my sister describing my singing practice. Now, apparently, not even the doctors in the area that have tried examining George could figure out what was wrong with him. Now, supposedly it was claimed that Lukins had extraordinary character in the community and was even known to attend services of worship in their local church and had also received his sacraments, which is like a big thing for a lot of Christians, I know Catholics specifically. But it was also public knowledge that for the past 18 years, George had also been known to suffer from atypical fits, which George himself said resulted from a quote-unquote supernatural slap, which apparently knocked him down one night while he was acting in a Christmas pageant. Like, imagine delivering your lines so badly in a Christmas play that demons are just like, nope, cannot stand for it, needs to go. Just knocks you right down. I shouldn't be laughing, but it's kind of funny, just a little bit. Well, after the whole pageant incident, George was put under the care of Dr. Smith, who was a prominent surgeon in the area at the time in Rington. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that town name right. If I'm wrong, I'm so sorry. But that's how it was spelled. So he was put under his care along with a bunch of other physicians. And George ended up spending a total of 20 weeks at St. George's Hospital before the entire medical community in that area ended up proclaiming that he was just incurable. They're just like, we got nothing. We have no idea what's wrong with this guy. Now, once news of this got out into the town, rumors started spreading among members of the community. Everybody was assuming that George must obviously be under some kind of a witch's curse. Why is it always witches? But, you know, it's the 1700s. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Whatever. Meanwhile, while everybody in town is over here like, it's gotta be witches. It's the witches. No, George himself was actually running around and trying to announce to everybody that he was actually under the possession of seven demons, which could only be driven out by 7 clergymen. I don't know if it's like 1-to-1 ratio kind of a thing, but that's what he was telling everybody. I've got 7 demons and I need 7 clergymen to help me get rid of them. Now, upon hearing this, Reverend Joseph Easterbrook, who mentioned him earlier, was obviously and understandably pretty alarmed. And he ended up contacting several other Methodist ministers to ask them for help in treating George's possession problem, I guess we'll call it. And all of them that he contacted agreed to come and assist Reverend Easterbrook with this exorcism. Now, if the idea of going up against one demon, like, freaks you out, imagine being asked to, like, post up on 7 demons. Like, that's insane. So, obviously, they were all quite distraught at the idea, but, you know, it being their holy duty and all, they all agreed to assist. But, you know, like I said, they were all quite terrified. One of them, in fact, a Reverend John Valton, actually wrote in one of his personal diaries that he, quote, had not the faith to go up against a demoniac, which I guess is what they called people that had demons. I'm assuming it, you know, kind of goes with maniac is like afflicted with mania, so demoniac afflicted with demons. Don't quote me on that, please. So yeah, he recorded in his diary that he didn't think he even had the faith to do it. This reverend, you know, freaking out. But I think it's understandable. 7 demons, it's insane. He later recounted that the day before the exorcism was set to take place, he actually went on his own to see good old George Lukins. And he claimed that after speaking with him, he had, quote, then found the faith needed to face the demons that afflicted him. Lucky for us, an account of the entire exorcism, basically like a transcript of everything that happened that day, was actually recorded in the Bristol Gazette, which I guess was like a local publication, kind of like a newspaper at that time. And they reported that on Friday morning, June 13th, 1778, a Friday the 13th, like, am I the only one that sees the irony there? Like, did nobody at the time think, hey guys, do you guys really think it's like the greatest idea to schedule an exorcism on a Friday the 13th? Do you guys think that'd be the greatest idea? I don't. If I was scheduling an exorcism, I'm not sure I'd pick one of, you know, historically unlucky days, but that's just me. That's just me, and I was not in charge of the planning of this activity, so I'm just gonna go ahead and let it slide, I guess. That's enough of my rambling. But anyway, June 13th, 1778, 14 men in total accompanied George Lukins to Temple Church at 11 o'clock to begin the exorcism. Now, this is where things get pretty crazy. You know, this is where all the action starts, so strap in. So, we have 14 men walking into Temple Church with George Lukins, my guy, and they began the exorcism by singing a hymn upon which George was said to immediately be thrown into, quote, strange agitations that were supposedly very different from his usual seizures. And that's what the newspaper called them, seizures. Just a side note. Now, his face was said to become variously distorted, and his whole body seemed to convulse. His right hand and arm began to shake at this point, and one of the alleged demons, who we're gonna call the leader for the sake of the story, actually made an appearance and is said to have taken charge of George's body and began speaking directly to George aloud, calling him a fool for bringing in these reverends, and swore that, quote, by his infernal den, he would never quit his hold of George and would actually torment him 1,000 times worse for even making this vain attempt. The demon then began to sing blaspheme of his power and eventually vowed eternal vengeance on George and everyone in the room for daring to oppose him. That's pretty intense. Obviously, the reverends were like, yeah, okay, sure, whatever, and, you know, just kept on praying, doing as they do. The leader demon then commanded his, quote, faithful servants to appear and take their stations. Things are getting a little serious. I don't know about you, but if I was in the middle of, or, you know, beginning an exorcism, whatever, and all of a sudden, leader demon is just like, guys, take your stations, I'd be a little freaked. I'd be pretty freaked out, to be honest. I don't know what I would do. I've never been in that situation. Don't plan on it. I don't know. I do think it's a little bit funny, though, that the demon was just like, a little backup. The singing and the vengeance isn't working. We're gonna need something a little stronger. I don't know. And then, after the leader demon called forth his faithful servants, 3 demons then came forth one by one. The first demon came forth as a female voice, and she demanded to, well, we'll call her she. We can call her she, right? I don't know. Do demons have a gender? Well, it came in with a female voice, so for the sake of, you know, telling the demons apart for the story, we'll call her she. Leader demon, she, and so forth, whatever. So this female demon came forth and demanded to know why George, who she referred to as the fool, had brought forth this company of holy men. She then swore that, by the devil, she would also not quit her hold on George, and cursed anyone who even attempted to help George. Pretty basic shtick at this point. Then she decided she was gonna shake it up a little bit, and she decided to sing a love song. Now, I don't know if she was singing a love song to George, which probably not if she's, you know, swearing to torture him for all of eternity and so forth. But it also doesn't make sense that she would sing a love song to the reverends, who she's also not super stoked with at the moment. I don't know. But either way, she decided that she was going to sing a love song to them. And at the end of this song, it said that George was violently tortured and began hurling curses at everyone in the room. The third demon then came forth, took on a new voice, did his whole curse the defiant thing, sang a song, and also then threw George into, quote, violent agonies and blasphemed in a manner that was, quote, too dreadful to be expressed. So now we have this fourth demon, I guess, who then came forth, claimed, quote, I am the great devil, did his whole curse thing, sang a hunting song. Like, did they each have these, like, queued up, like, hey, that's my cue, better go in with my hunting song. I don't know what you're hunting, but okay. And began to torture George so violently that it was said that only with, quote, great difficulty that 2 strong men could hold him down. Now, while they were holding him down, George was said to continue to occasionally laugh hideously, and at other times was even said to bark in a manner indescribably horrid. Now, after all of this, the main demon came forward again and was said to call all of his infernals forward at that point to band together to drive away all of the reverends. Is that like an anti-exorcism? Like, do demons, like, freak out when they have, like, a bunch of holy people and they're like, guys, we need to get rid of these? And they just, like, anti-exorcism. Is that a thing? I don't know. I don't know if that's a thing, but I'm just gonna call it an anti-exorcism for fun. While the holy men at this point continued their hymns and prayers, George, or George's body, I guess, began to sing a Christian hymn in Latin called a Te Deum in multiple voices. Well, not multiple multiple voices L at once. I think it was like different lines came out as different voices. Also, why is it always Latin? I don't get it. Why is Latin like the agreed upon spooky language or whatever? I don't get it, but whatever. So there they all were, prayers, hymns, curses, Latin flying everywhere. And one of the reverends decides that he is going to come forward and start commanding the main demon to declare his name in the name of the great Jehovah. To which the demon was like, I'm the devil, duh. The same reverend then demanded to know why the demons were torturing George. And to this, the demon only replied, that I may show my power amongst man. The demons continued to torture George while all of the efforts for his deliverance continued. A clergyman that was present came forward and knelt down beside George and told him that he should try to say and repeat the name of Jesus out loud. And apparently it's reported that every time George attempted or seemed to attempt to do this, he was only able to say devil every time. Coincidence? I think not. So it was at this point that the demons are said to have finally shown signs that they were starting to weaken, and a small faint voice is said to have been heard saying, why don't you just adjourn? Hey, like, what if you guys just stop? Why don't you just take the day off? Does that ever work? So the demons ever just like, hey guys, TV timeout? The priest is like, cool. We'll just take 5, y'all. No. Actually, the clergyman was said to proclaim out loud, I command the evil spirit in the name of the Holy Trinity to depart from this man. He's said to have repeated this several times until a voice was heard to have come from George saying, lest I give up my power. This was said to be followed by more howling. Just gonna finish that up real quick, matching wings. Still, the group is said to have continued their efforts until finally a small voice came from George's body and said, our master has deceived us. What could they have meant by that? Mascara takes so long. Do I want to line my waterline? Do I really want to do that? We're gonna do it. Let's take this look there. The voice of one of the demons then came forward and very softly asked the reverends, where are we supposed to go now? The reverends were like, I don't know. How about hell? Here it's great this time of year. I'm gonna stop. Okay. At this point, George's fits and distortions suddenly got stronger than ever, stronger than they had been the entire night, and were claimed to be, quote, attended with the most dreadful howling that could be conceived, until finally everything just kind of ended all at once. The screaming stopped, the fits stopped, the twitching and spasming and seizing. The fits stopped, and everything just kind of went quiet in the room. Now, at first, the reverends in the room were not quite sure what to make of all of this until George finally got up and in his own voice, which had yet to have been used at all that evening, finally came forward, and he's said to have shouted, "Blessed Jesus," and immediately praised God for his deliverance, knelt down to say the Lord's Prayer, and then, of course, turned to thank everyone in the room for helping to save him and his soul. Thanks, guys. That was a real close one there. The whole event in total ended that day around 1 o'clock after having lasted only about a total of 2 hours, which, you know, after recounting the events and reading through like accounts of what happened, I would have assumed that it would have taken a lot longer to drive 7 demons out, you know, especially for this guy having reportedly been afflicted for 18 years, and then all it takes is 7 dudes in 2 hours. Like, is it just me? Like, is it just me, or is that like a little bit anticlimactic? I don't know, is that rude? I don't know. You know, you see in movies all the time these things that take days, but they got it done. 2 hours. I mean, that's kind of impressive in my book. Now, George Lukins was said to have left the church that day completely delivered and never really reported any kind of return or like relapse of any of his symptoms. Demons never showed themselves again, at least not through George. Just kidding. One thing that I did find really surprising when I was researching this case was how much controversy, I guess, and skepticism there was surrounding George's case, especially for like the time, I guess. I'm talking like even in the 1700s, like one minute everyone's running around like witches, but people were actually pretty skeptical at the end of this thing. Now, you know, maybe it's because of how quick the entire endeavor was over once it began. Like, it was a lot of, like, it was bad enough that groups of people were actually sending letters the same year, 1778, to a publication called the Gentleman's Magazine and Historical Review. Like, it's 1778, how much history could there be to review? Anyway, besides the point, a lot of these people were writing in letters and suggesting that it wasn't actually demonic possession. A lot of people had their opinion, conspiracy allegedly, about what actually happened to George, like what he actually went through. Which is surprising considering that a lot of the people that were reported to have written these letters didn't actually even know George personally. They had only read about the accounts of what had happened in the Bristol Gazette. I don't know how you would really base that kind of opinion just on, you know, I mean, I guess that's kind of what we're doing. Never mind. I retract my statement. Anyway, some of the people that were writing into this historical review had written in suggesting that George's affliction was probably nothing more than a series of complications from a combination of epilepsy, St. Vitus's dance, which at first I thought was what, I mean, I don't know if y'all have ever heard of like the dancing plague that happened. That's another video. But no, apparently it's another neurological disorder that can also cause involuntary movements, if you will, of the hands, feet, arms and legs, the face, you know, things that would be pretty, I guess, consistent with what George was reported to have experienced. And so these people were writing in saying, no, he was either epileptic, it was this St. Vitus's dance, and they were also saying that it could have been exacerbated by his predisposition for religious ideation. Now, later, after, you know, writing into these publications and kind of theorizing about what had happened to George, had started to kind of gain popularity and some traction, you know. There was even a doctor who came forward later by the name of Dr. Ferriar of Manchester. I'm pretty sure I'm saying that right. Ferriar. No, it was not Ferrari, I promise. I checked. Now, he had actually come forward after allegedly having written a paper called, get this, Popular Illusions and Medical Demonology. Okay, sis. Now, he claimed, I can't get enough of this guy, because I don't know, it kind of makes me a little like offended for George. Listening to what this guy had to say, like not listening, but reading whatever about what this guy had to say, you know, about what he thought happened, kind of was, I thought, a little bit rude and dismissive of the whole case. Because he came forward and wrote in this paper that George had basically just obviously faked it. Faked the whole thing. Like, that would normally be bad enough, right? But it was like the evidence that he used for like why he thought George had, quote, obviously faked the whole thing that really gets me. Because he said that he was obviously faking the possession because he, quote, didn't fit the standard indicators of possession. Which, I mean, okay, giving the benefit of the doubt, maybe there are. But, like, what would they have been that George didn't show, I guess? Because, I mean, he had the crazy voices, he had the fits. The dude had these demons, whatever, for, like, 18 years. Like, what? Giving this guy the benefit of the doubt. Like, let's say George didn't meet the criteria, whatever. I still think it's a bit dismissive to have just come out and just claimed it as like a flat out hoax. You know what I mean? Like, this dude was obviously suffering from something. I mean, look, I don't know, you guys. I just don't know if I personally can buy like a regular guy just kind of going through his life, you know, going about his everyday, going to church, getting his sacraments, and then all of a sudden one day just being like, you know what sounds fun? Faking a possession where I will pretend to be in ridiculous agony for 18 years. And you know what? Just to like really drive it home, I'm just gonna nearly starve myself to death several times. Like that doesn't make sense to me. I don't know. Maybe I just give too much credit. I don't know. But it seems legit enough to me that at least this guy had something wrong with him. You know, even if it wasn't demons. So, I don't know, you guys. Like, was it demons? Was it epilepsy? Or did George just kind of fake the whole thing on a whim? Go ahead and in the comments down below, I want to know what each of you think actually happened to George. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. And if you enjoyed the video, go ahead and like and subscribe. Hit the notification bell if you guys want to be notified of any future videos. Also, if any of you guys want to know what I put on my face today, I will go ahead and put a list of the products that I used in the description down below. Also, before I go, I just wanted to let you guys know to keep an eye out for my upcoming series, Witchy Wednesdays, where I will be putting out a monthly Wednesday video on a witchy topic. So it's going to be a pretty cool series about all things witchy, having to do with witches. Have I said witch enough times yet? Probably. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, merry meet, merry part, and merry meet again.